There are now 5 former Ohio State wrestlers accusing Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of knowing about a team doctor's alleged sexual misconduct.
43 men who say they were sexually assaulted, abused, molested, or harassed by Dr. Richard Strauss.
The new charges against Joel Greenberg.
Sex trafficking of a minor and stalking a political opponent.
Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz allegedly having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl.
Investigators examining whether he, quote, violated federal sex trafficking laws.
You just watched a snippet from an excellent compilation put together by Midas Touch. And it outlines all of these different instances of right-wingers being accused of sexual misconduct, cover-ups of sexual misconduct, and more. And it is interesting to see it, considering it's the right wing in this country that goes out of its way to defame all sorts of ordinary working people, whether it be nurses, doctors, educators, of being groomers. That's what they love to accuse others of being. And it turns out that there's another example of someone who is on the right wing and has been accused of grooming students. In this case, we're talking about a woman who actually ran for county clerk and auditor in Washington County, Utah. And her whole platform was this anti-grooming platform. But after her unsuccessful run for office, some accusations came out regarding her past. So the woman that you see next to me is Patricia Kent, and Patricia Kent happens to be the former candidate for the county clerk and auditor that I'm referring to here. In October, Kent led a rally denouncing the LGBTQ community, displaying pictures of young girls at a pride event in the county. The fact that she displayed pictures of young girls specifically will be important later, so just remember that fact. Now, here's what Kent said at the rally. Quote, "Those are children, teenagers at best, being promoted to the ideology of same-sex transgender." I don't even know what that means, same-sex transgender. Okay, this is supposed to be the new exciting lifestyle that everybody's supposed to love it. They are grooming our children for immoral satanic worship. She continues to say, quote, "I don't watch Hallmark movies anymore because I never know when they're going to sneak in that homosexual couple. They're not good family movies anymore. We know Walt Disney is no longer family friendly and hasn't been for a long time." Now, it is ironic that Patricia Kent would be so quick to accuse others of grooming or sexual misconduct, knowing full well what she's got in her past, the skeletons that she's hiding in her closet. So let's talk about those skeletons. Patricia Kent was forced to resign her job teaching middle school girls as young as 11 years old after her relationship with her young female students became a matter of public knowledge in the school community. When are Republicans not projecting? That's what I want to know.
100%.
More details though, more details. According to the Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, sounds pretty serious, Kent used her position as a middle school teacher to foster intimate and dependent relationships with young teenage girls. She wrote the children intimate notes, gave them gifts, and discussed inappropriate personal details with them against the express wishes of the students' parents and warnings from supervisors. She kept doing it. She kept doing it. And get a load of this. UPPAC also found evidence that Kent engaged in sexual relationships with at least one of the young girls, but the evidence wasn't sufficient to bring formal charges. But nonetheless, she was forced to resign from her position and her teaching certificate was suspended in 2000.
Yeah, it's all projection, guys, all of it. So look, if we just got rid of the underlying problem, which is, to be honest, religion teaching people that being gay is wrong. It isn't wrong, it just isn't. There's nothing unnatural about it, that's why it occurs in nature. And if God didn't want them to be gay, why did he make them gay? Okay, so but anyways, if we got rid of that underlying problem, we would have a lot less of what you see here, okay? Because they're bottling up normal sexual urges and until they become toxic. And then they get released in these awful ways. Her hitting on go hit on women your own age. But she would never do that because she thinks it's satanic.
It reminds me of the Catholic Church, honestly.
Of course. So the Catholic Church is like, oh, being gay is totally wrong, being gay is totally wrong. And then and don't do anything if you're a priest, don't even get married, don't have relationships with women. And they bottle it up, and it turns out they're human after all, and they do want to have sex. And then who's around them? Oh, little kids are around them. And then that's who they target. And she was a teacher, and there was little kids around her. And instead of having a healthy, normal lesbian relationship with someone else, she thought that she was, that she had to take it out and do it in these ways that involved subterfuge and secret, so nobody would find out. And who's good to target if you don't want anyone to find out? She thought in her dumbass head that it was kids, because kids will be scared to tell, right? And they'll be confused and they won't know what she's trying to do, right? Easier to take advantage of. Just get rid of this dumb ideology. Look at what she said. She thinks, oh yeah, the other side is doing grooming our children for immoral satanic worship. Look, guys, there is no Satan, there is no Balrog, okay? No, it's just people doing things that they want to do and then blaming it on Satan, right? That's what it is. And so since she did that, she assumes the other side is doing it. And so the psychological fact of projection that we constantly talk about on the show, the reason why it's so important is because what they're doing is just assuming, and this is normal, you'll see it like if you love cheesecake, you probably assume everybody loves cheesecake, right? But it turns out some people don't like it. You're projecting your own desires and normal thoughts onto others, right? They're projecting their unnormal thoughts onto others. They think I like grooming kids, so I assume they like grooming kids, right? And it's just not the case. That's why you have all these Republicans over and over accusing people of being groomers and pedophiles, because it's running through their head 24/7. And when we say, no, we're not thinking that, they think, oh, they're lying, because everybody's thinking it. No, we're not, it's just you guys.
I've never been like forced to think about grooming and groomers more in my life than this year, and it's because of the right wing. And look, that Midas Touch compilation is just so excellent that we got to show you the rest of it, because there are so many examples. And it is amazing that like while Democrats are constantly like sitting by and taking the insane defamatory accusations from the right wing, I mean, the right wing's a target-rich environment. I don't see Democrats like attacking them for what they've been up to. And you know what? Thank God for I don't believe in God, but thankfully we've got Midas Touch that puts videos like this together to remind everyone of what's really going on here. Let's watch.
Republican National Committee was just sentenced to 12 years in prison for possession of child porn. He also told people in this group that his preference was for babies, and saying that they were his quote absolute favorite, and solicited another member of the group for videos of babies being raped.
George Nader, his criminal history included multiple convictions for child pornography and child molestation.
This morning, a judge sentenced Ralph Shorty to 15 years in prison. Police caught Shorty in a hotel room with a then 17-year-old boy.
To all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous.
Yiannopoulos arguing sexual relationships between 13-year-old boys and men in their 20s could be consensual.
Some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming of age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are.
Back in 2004, Lauren Boebert's husband, Jason Boebert, was arrested for indecent exposure because he decided to reveal his penis to waitresses. Turned out one of the waitresses was 17.
A former Trump official who has pled guilty to child porn charges. He is a former Commerce Department official in the Trump administration, sentenced to a 5.5-year prison term after pleading guilty to possession of child pornography. This is Adam Hageman.
Tony Lazzaro allegedly gave underage girls expensive gifts and money in exchange for sex. He is charged with sex trafficking.
I mean, the people who cry out about groomers the most, or sexual misconduct the most,
Yeah.
Just make sure you investigate what they're up to.
So we're gonna put a link down below if you're watching this later on YouTube or Facebook to the whole Midas Touch video, because it goes on and on. Endless right-wingers who are involved in these scandals. Tucker Carlson talking about Warren Jeffs, a Mormon leader, raping young girls. And he said, well, so what? He married them afterwards. So you can see it for yourself. Roy Moore, Dennis Hastert, the list goes on and on and on. And guys, part of the reason why we get so frustrated on the show, but we try to fight back for you guys, is because almost no one else does. The Democratic Party never fights back for you, right? So when the right wing calls people on the left groomers, they're not just calling the leaders groomers, they're calling all of us groomers, all of you guys groomers, and all these awful, awful charges when they're doing it 24/7, and yet no Democrat ever fights back for you guys. So I'm glad Midas Touch did that. As you see in the video, a lot of the voices are TYT hosts because we cover those stories and we fight back and tell you what the reality is. The reality is there is one party in this country that has gotten caught over and over again doing pedophilia, and it's the Republicans.